there's going to be a lot of people out there who see this particular story and they get really, really excited thinking, okay, this means that we're going to be getting, all of those Activision games on Stadia. This means that we're going to be getting all of the Blizzard games on Stadia. And I really don't think that it means what a lot of people think it means. So let's take a look at the story here. This comes to us from Variety. And it says, YouTube scores exclusive streaming for Activision's Blizzard esports, including Overwatch and Call of Duty leagues. So if you don't know what exactly this is talking about, the basics here are that there are esports stuff like Overwatch League and I guess Call of Duty League, which I didn't know about, where they stream these on a streaming platform like Twitch or Mixer, or in the past Facebook or YouTube, and it gives people a place where they can watch these particular high-level matches, right? Excuse me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the overall thing here is that now that is going to be exclusive to YouTube. What do you think about that, Lloyd?
I think it's interesting. It's been a kind of an amazing tug of war that's been happening between Mixer, YouTube, and Twitch. There was I guess the first big one was Ninja was a big Twitch streamer, got signed to an exclusivity contract with Mixer, and everyone's like, oh my God, this can happen. It's like the first time that the sporting team had an ad on the jersey or something. It's like, oh my God, this opens up so many new possibilities. And since then there's been defections either way. A big YouTube streamer called Nick A30 signed a Twitch exclusivity. Then a bunch of other Twitch guys signed YouTube exclusivity recently, including Laserbeam, which is a really popular streamer that my kids love. So it's amazing that all this stuff is happening like that. And then another thing happens that I didn't think was possible, which is this exclusivity for streaming Activision esports, and becoming the streaming partner of Activision for their esports. Like it's kind of amazing how there's it's almost like different sporting leagues or different sporting teams, I guess, because it's all the same sport, and they're trading players amongst themselves. It's just been a really interesting thing to watch.
Yeah, I hate this. I really hate this. I can't stand when things get exclusive. So, like now, if you don't want to watch stuff on YouTube, you can't watch. I mean, it's not that you can't, but now you have to watch it in a place that you weren't planning on watching it before. I would prefer that all of these deals would just stop happening and they would just put it on every platform. Hey, we're going to stream it on Twitch. We're going to stream it on YouTube. We're going to stream it on Facebook. We're going to stream it on Mixer. We're going to stream it everywhere so everybody gets to watch it. And for me, I think that would be a much better solution. That being said, I completely understand how YouTube and YouTube and Twitch and Mixer and Facebook would go after these companies and say, hey, you've got a bunch of eyeballs, and we want to make sure that those eyeballs are watching on our platform. So here's some money, please do that. And I think that that's fine if even if it's not the best consumer experience, in my opinion. Now there's more to this deal, but I want to talk a little bit about the streaming on Twitch and YouTube and Mixer. Hours watched is a thing that gets tracked a lot on these different platforms, and I guess this last year, Mixer and Twitch is like way up here at the top of the graph, and Mixer is way down here at the bottom of the graph, and they both dropped some, and YouTube Gaming is the only one that is increasing. The number of hours watched on YouTube Gaming actually increased this year, which I found very surprising. I have to say that watching the show or watching stuff on YouTube, if I want to watch this Blizzard esports event, God, YouTube needs to fix their UI. There's just too much stuff in the way. There should be a button. Like on Twitch, there's a button called theater mode. If you just click that button, it just shows the picture, and chat is just this little tiny thing over on the right hand side. But YouTube gaming, it's like the picture is small compared to watching it over on Twitch, and I don't understand why they do it that way. I'm maybe it has something to do with they know that people are more likely to click some stuff on the bottom. But for me, I think that it's just not good. Now, let's talk about. Do you have anything to add before we talk about the other partnership thing that's happening here?
No, just the fact that it was interesting that this is happening now, because YouTube already tried to do the YouTube gaming thing, and then that kind of fizzled out, and they're like, okay, we're getting rid of the gaming hub and we're putting everything back to YouTube, and then like a year later, it's like, we're announcing a gaming streaming partnership with this. It's like, what are you doing, Google? Are you doing gaming? Are you focusing on gaming? Are you going to make it a priority for a chunk of YouTube, or are you just going to have this kind of, I don't want to say half done, but it kind of is. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of this. If this is the start of other agreements, and they really are going to make their service better for viewers and streamers that are there for gaming content, which is different than, as you said, other content, because of the way that the screen is. It would also be better if they started adding features from other services. Like if I could do a stream marker by hitting a button on my stream deck, that would make everything so much better on YouTube. Like something that we are so used to on Twitch. If they added that to YouTube, I could see other streamers make this move if they are maybe Blizzard focused streamers, because they know where the Blizzard population is.
Yeah, and there's a lot of reasons why you would want to stream on YouTube gaming over Twitch. The UI is not one of them, but the thing that you got to remember is YouTube gives transcodes to everybody, so you can put out the highest possible quality stream that you want, and then somebody who has really, really bad internet, if they want to watch pixelated blockiness, they can watch it at 160p, you know? But but then somebody else who's watching can still watch it at 1080p, 60 frames per second. It's still going to look fantastic. That's a huge advantage that YouTube gaming has over Twitch. Now, you mentioned that YouTube gaming, like they had their own website and then they brought it back into YouTube. I think we talked about this before, but just recently on the left-hand side of the YouTube webpage, they have brought back the gaming button, so you can just scroll down and click that. I think it needs to be up higher, and I think they need to rebrand that YouTube gaming as Stadia streaming or something like that in order to make sure that it puts more eyeballs on Stadia. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this, is because the more people that are watching stuff on YouTube, the more likely it is that that viewers are going to see stuff that is for Stadia. Like, oh man, I'm watching this game over here, and then I finish and I start watching somebody else and they're playing a Stadia game, and then there's a button for me to click to play or join them. Like, that's all really, really fantastic. And if they're going to really take advantage of that, they need to improve YouTube gaming. At least that's how I feel about it.
100%.
There's one more thing that I want to talk about in this deal, and it says here, in addition to YouTube's exclusive rights to Activision Blizzard live events, the gaming company, in this case Activision, struck a multi-year agreement with Google, under which Google Cloud will serve as the preferred provider for Activision Blizzard's game hosting infrastructure. According to Activision Blizzard, it will be able to tap into Google's cloud artificial intelligence tools to offer curated recommendations for in-game offers and differentiated gaming experiences. Lloyd, what are your thoughts on that?
That sounds like buzzword soup a little bit at the end of it. I think it's interesting that Activision Blizzard is making a deal to use Google servers. I think they were, I'm not positive on this, so don't quote me, but I think they were using Microsoft's infrastructure before, or maybe it was Amazon. So it's really kind of interesting that they're moving all their server architecture over to Google, or they will be, for multiplayer and other things like that. I think that's really interesting, and it really shows kind of, for me being a Stadia fan, this could make Stadia gaming better, because if your multiplayer servers are sitting on Google's network and your your client instance is on Google's network, and it's a multiplayer game with other platforms, and their client is on some other person's network because it's in their basement, in their house on like Comcast or Shaw in Canada. It's potential for Stadia players to have a better experience because the servers are there, your client is there. Even though they're taking that video and streaming it to you, the latency between the client and server is going to be that much less. So that's pretty interesting, and it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out in the coming coming months and years as this agreement kind of takes hold.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also want to say that there's going to be a lot of people who look at this and they say, looks like Blizzard games and Activision games are coming to Stadia based on this. And I'm going to say, no,
Sure.
that does not mean that. And the reason
100%.
that it doesn't mean that is because Google is not like a lot of other companies. Google basically lets its different parts do their own thing. And so the partnerships that happen with YouTube and the things that happen with Stadia, they don't necessarily mean that they are going to come together at the end of the day. So while I think that it would be good for playing games on Stadia because of all of the cool stuff that Lloyd just said about having the least amount of time to travel between the Stadia servers of my client where I'm playing the game and the servers for Overwatch or whatever game that we're talking about, like those things being really close together, that's awesome. But I don't think that this means that Activision games are coming straight to Stadia. Do
100%.
I think that Activision games won't come to Stadia? No, I think eventually they will. I think eventually just about every publisher is going to be bringing games to Stadia because Stadia is going to be a really, really great platform if Stadia Base ever comes out. I think that it's going to be a fantastic platform. So I do think that we will get these games, but I don't think that this particular story is any indicator of that.
I agree with you 100%. It's one of those things where we said last excuse me, I said last episode that GDC and E3 is going to tell a big tale about Stadia. If we get a lot of game announcements around GDC and E3, that means Stadia is actively being worked on from developers all across the internet. If we hear nothing but crickets from GDC and E3, that means that this initial launch of Stadia maybe needs a little bit more time in the oven, and it's going to take a while for big publishers to start wanting to publish the games there, and then developers start working on the games. So it's going to be an interesting 6 months to see where Stadia is going to go. But I fully expect in the future for Activision games, for EA games, for you name it, even Microsoft games, even to get Minecraft and stuff on the service. I think all publishers are eventually going to want to get their stuff on Stadia just because it's another set of eyeballs. It's another potential stream of money for them to then take that and do more development.